Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I will be your host, SprinkleBeard. We stream every single day on Twitch, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if you care to join us or interact. Today's video, we are going to be reviewing the Dark Elf rares of Raid Shadow Legends. Alright, so we get to start off with one of my actually favorite rares in the game, and actually there's only two, so this will be a very short video. We are going to review the Judge. So Judge here, when we're reviewing champions, I have numbers that I have made up, and by made up, I mean that I've looked at numbers and this set of numbers makes sense to me. So that is how I judge champions. Understand that this is not, guaranteed. I've not looked on the Raid Wiki for like the average HP values and everything like that. This is just personal preference. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Judge is a magic attacker. So his attack stat is one I would like to see as the highest. His HP, I would like to see around 16,000. Here we're only at 12,000, so quite a bit low. Attack is in a great place though, especially for a rare. 1476 is quite huge. Defense is low, 738, so that means he's going to be very squishy. However, he is fast. He has a speed of 103. Speed, I would like to see around 100. Because defense and HP are like his secondary stats, I do understand that like this isn't going to be 16,000, and I would like to see that as 1,000, and it's obviously they moved a lot of these stat points into his attack. That's perfectly fine. Crit damage is above 50, so he's got an extra 7%, so that is great for a rare. So he has a aura skill, increases ally accuracy in all battles by 30. It's not a huge amount, but it is meaningful. It is still an aura skill that you could use. Definitely better than the life aura, in my opinion. Getting your champions to land their debuffs with accuracy is very good. So here's why I like him so much. His passive is really amazing, although it's incredibly inconsistent, right? So with each hit, he has a 30% chance, so a 1 in 3 chance of placing either a 50% decrease accuracy, a 30% decrease speed, a 50% decrease attack, or a 60% decrease defense. So on my channel, we call these breaks because these are the strongest ones. So the strongest accuracy debuff, the strongest attack debuff, strongest speed, or strongest defense debuff. What's good is all of these debuffs are generally meaningful. There's very rarely a time that any one of these you're not going to want. I will say certain bosses have immunity. So like for instance, Clan Boss is immune to a speed decrease. So it's not like he's going to be great everywhere. But the fact that he has a good, 30% is not bad. A 30% chance to place a debuff, and it's a meaningful debuff, is quite amazing. So now let's look at his skills to see how he facilitates this. Attacks all enemies 2 times. Fills his turn meter by 10% for each critical hit. This skill makes him really, really interesting and amazing. This gives him more speed, if you will, because he'll fill up his own turn meter. But also since he attacks 2 times, he has a chance to let's say get an attack accuracy down and then an attack down, or any combination of his things, or at least getting one of them off somewhat consistently. Then his A1 is attacks 1 enemy. Damage increases by 10% for each debuff on the target, stacking up to a maximum of 100%. This makes him a great team player, and it makes his A1, it's going to hit like a freight train. And then if you also consider that his damage on his A1 increases, but if you also do the defense break, he's going to hit so much harder, the additional 10%, but onto the 60% of their defense being gone. Overall, I think he's just an amazing champion. It's nice that he's kind of well balanced in terms of that he can attack all or just attack one person. I think in the arena is probably a place where he's going to be a lot of fun to play with. In general, though, I think he's an amazing rare. I think he's really cool. I would say his only downfall is that his stat-wise is that defense, he probably has no ability to stand up for very long. So you're going to be kind of fishing for those debuffs, or to best enable him. You would want to play with somebody who can consistently add debuffs as well. Maybe poisons, or obviously attack down, or crit down, stuff like that. Then our only other magic dwarf that we have, or magic dwarf, oh, I'm still stuck on that series. Magic dark elf that we have to review for today is Kale, or as I've been recently told to pronounce him as Kyle. Hi, Rockstar. Are you going to come do the video? Was your starter Kyle? So Kyle is one of the starting champions that you get to start off with in the game. And arguably, I would say he is the best starter. So we're going to first go through his stats and then his kit, and then I'll explain why I think he's the best of the starters. HP is lower than I would like. I would like it around 16,000. Attack is right exactly where I want it, at 1,200. Kyle here is actually one of the reasons that I started paying more attention to stats. Defense is at 914. It's kind of better than most of the starters, but it is a little bit lower than I would like. Speed is good at 103, and then he gets extra crit damage, so from 50 to 57. So that's a nice little bonus. He has a passive to increase all ally HP by 15%. This is amazing when you first start off the game. I would say, though, that pretty much any other aura, when you're in the normal campaign, is probably better than this 15% HP. Maybe not resist, but everything else. Like if it's crit chance, super amazing. If it is attack percentage, it'll be very noticeable. So, be mindful of what auras you're using, so on and so forth. Let's move on. His A3, Disintegrate, attacks 4 times at random, has a 40% or eventually a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison. So that's the bigger of the poisons. That skill is quite amazing. A lot of these attacks 4 times at random only have a 50% chance at best of their ability happening. And obviously if you get down to like a boss or only 2 enemies, you can sometimes hit them with, 3 to 4 of the attacks at random. And not only is it decent damage because it's his A3, but it also has a chance to place poison on, which is a great boss killing move in this game. Next is A2, attacks all enemies, has a 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Fill the turn meter of this champion by 25% for each enemy killed. 25% for each enemy killed, I think, is the biggest that I'm aware of in the game for a turn meter fill. Now, it's somewhat situational, right? You have to kill something, but this skill is amazing. If you were to take him into Spider, which is probably like one of the worst places to take Kyle, the fact that he can fill his turn meter near instantaneously with this skill would be amazing. Even in the arena that you could kill 4 people, or like Doom Tower, if he was to kill 4 people. Absolutely an amazing skill. The extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit is amazing. All the starters have that on like one skill, and usually it's their AoE. That's to help you progress through the game. That is absolutely by design. Kyle just has this really amazing added feature that he gets quicker turns to add more poisons on, because poisons are kind of backloaded damage, if you will. Attacks 1 enemy, has an 80% chance of placing, or eventually 100% chance of placing, a 2.5% poison. So if anybody's not familiar with the game, the poisons in this, I should also go over the debuffs for Judge at some point. I'll do that before we end the video. Poisons in this game are one of the best boss killing mechanic. So it's 2.5% of their maximum health, not their current health. So poisons in this game are incredibly useful. They can kill enemies, they can kill bosses, and there's certain bosses like Dragon where you can do some really cheesy things by just loading them up on poison, and then when they take a turn, or like Dragon has this big inhale mechanic and you have to break him, you have to break this HP bar before he breathes it out. This is one of those perfect skills where by poisoning him, and mind you 2.5 is not amazing, but it's usually really good damage, and it's damage that he will guaranteed take when it's his turn. So the reason that Kyle is kind of the best of the starters, and there's no true best, but the reason that if I had to name one champion as the best of the 4 starters, it would be Kyle, is that he is good at wave clear and he's good at bosses. He has no real weakness, to be honest with you. He's pretty well rounded in a lot of the good ways. His kit is very conducive with itself. The fact that he can wave clear with this acid rain, that does a lot of damage, and then with disintegrate you can easily kill bosses or easily stack up a lot of damage on bosses, is also quite amazing. Then the fact that his A1 does get to 100%. Now it is minor poison damage, so it's not going to be super amazing, but it's still like it's guaranteed, and it's going to feel really good, especially when you fully book him for the first time. With that being said, the other big reason that Kyle is amazing is that you can use him as a campaign farmer, and that is kind of the job of your starters, is to get you through most of the content, and then eventually when you get to around Brutal, you would try to get them to be able to solo some of the content with 3 pieces of food with them. I have other videos talking about food if you need a video on that. But he should be able to clear the content by himself, and Kyle pretty much does that very well. What also makes him amazing is, like we said, if you take him into a dragon dungeon or if you take him into clan boss, he is very good single target damage. The fact that he's the only starter that has poisons in his kit or damage over time effects makes him extremely useful. You load the poisons up on the boss, and then when clan boss takes his turn, he just starts missing half of his health. And all the other starters, if you start off with them, you then need to find a poisoner for clan boss. And some players have a very difficult time with this. Yes, there's an uncommon champion that you can use to His name is Outlaw Monk, who is a guaranteed poisoner. So he's, in a sense, a slightly better poisoner than Kale, but his stats are a lot less and he's a bit slower. But if you start off with Kyle, you have a huge advantage when it comes to clan boss. So if you're familiar with clan boss, or if you're watching those videos, it'll make it a lot easier. That's kind of it for the video, guys. We're going to review, re-review Judge here real quick, because I did forget to express what every debuff does real quick. Obviously, speed should be very obvious. Attack down stops attack type characters. So both Kyle and Judge, their damage would be significantly reduced from an attack down. However, a defensive champion would not care about the attack down, but the defense down they would care about. That would lower their damage and cause them to take more damage. Accuracy in this game is your ability to put a debuff on somebody. So if I have my Judge fighting an enemy Judge and I get this decreased accuracy on him, that is amazing, because that means his chances of landing his debuffs on my team is thoroughly reduced. Obviously, if the character has 0 accuracy, it's not going to affect them. There's very few characters in the game that can get away with no accuracy. Kyle, though, he would need accuracy to land these poisons. So likewise, if you had Judge going into him and you had the accuracy lowered, you cut his accuracy in half. So that means if he had, like, let's say an accuracy of 50, random number, should be fine for normal. You should be able to clear normal super easy, always landing your debuffs when they proc. But with an accuracy decrease from the Judge here, the chances of you landing that would be a lot less, or you would see a lot more resisted from your enemy. So if you're ever not sure, this little target icon here is an accuracy debuff, which is quite amazing. Turn meter, we didn't talk about that either. Turn meter is the little yellow bar that is below your champion's health bar. That lets you know the order in which the champions are going to go. So whoever fills their bar first, they get their turn. However, there are ways to manipulate turn meter. So you could take away your opponent's turn meter or reduce it. And even if it's filled and they would be like next in line to go, if you reduce their turn meter, you basically just took away their turn, or you push them back in line before taking their turn. So yeah, both these champions are super amazing for the Dark Elves. Guys, I want to thank you very much for watching this. It's always fun to do these champion reviews. If you like the content or have any questions for me, leave it down in the comment section below, or visit us over on twitch.tv/SprinkleBeard. Till that next time, ta-ta.